Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is LINTANG GITA RAMADANI, NIM A32002000196. Evolution of public speaking. What is public speaking? Public speaking is a process, an act, and an art of making a speech before an audience. Absolutely everyone from the age of 10 to 90 has found themselves in situations where they have had to speak publicly. However, telling an anecdote at a corporate party, introducing yourself in class or delivering in paper at conference does not necessarily make you a public speaking. It is not enough to talk in front of a group of people to be a brilliant public speaker. Your goal should not be limited with informing your audience or expressing your thought publicly, but to changing emotion, action, and attitude, and to leaving your listeners moved by the words and touched by their meaning. 3 Parts of Persuasion by Aristotle. The art of speaking in public is not new. Its long tradition can be tracked back to classical Greece. Any young men living at that time were expected to acquire and develop public speaking skill and parts of their duties as citizens. We know them as 3 basic parts of persuasion. 1. Ethos, credibility of the speaker. 2. Logos, logic behind any conclusion drawn by a speaker. 3. Pathos, emotional appeal or ability to create connection between the speaker and his audience. Cicero's 5 Canons of Rhetoric. After the action of Rome, public speaking techniques developed in Greece were copied and modified by the Romans. Here, oratory lost its dominance in the political arena, but gained wide popularity as a form of entertainment, allowing famous orators to gain political power and wealth by using their public speaking skills. Cicero believed that the process of eloquent speech preparation consists of 5 main steps. 1. Invention, development and refinement of the argument. 2. Arrangement, creation of the structure of a coherent argument. 3. Style, the process of determining how to present an argument using rhetorical techniques and choosing the words that have the great impact on the audience. 4. Memory, the process of learning and memorizing the speech while making it sound natural. 5. Delivery, the process of making effective use of voice and body language. Next, modern element of public speaking. The widespread accessibility of mass media and especially the internet has made it easier for us to reach a vast audience and let our voice be heard. Public speaking has evolved from a skill reserved by a selected few to one of the most powerful marketing, educational, and brand promotion tool in any business. 3 style speech. 1. Impromptu speech. Impromptu speech is prompt by the occasion rather than being planned in advance. While famous public speakers often joke that best impromptu speech should be prepared weeks in advance, usually in real life we have very little or no time to prepare before we speak in front of the audience. 2. Manuscript speech. This type of speech is read like a manuscript and is meant to be delivered word for word. 3. Extemporaneous speech. Extemporaneous speech is the most commonly used type of speech that help to establish emotional connection with the audience. The hidden psychology behind the fear of public speaking. Psychologists know that the very fact of being in the spotlight often triggers the whole range of physical reaction that we would experience in the face of real life-threatening danger as 1. Pounding heart, 2. Dry mouth, 3. Shaky hand, 4. Quivering voice, 5. Cold sweaty palms, 6. Stomach cramps. How can this finding explain the fear of public speaking? If it is painful enough to be rejected by just 1%, imagine the pain we could experience when being rejected by a large group of people. Of course, our emotions range from being absolutely terrified or feeling very uncomfortable. 2 biggest myths about the fear of public speaking. When it comes to public speaking, there are 2 common misconceptions that many business owners and leaders fall prey to. Myth 1. Great public speaking skill are an inborn talent. Myth 2. Fear of public speaking is negative and undesirable. Ways to transform the public speaking fear to excitement. If you are worried that fear might worse instead of improve your presentation, here are 5 practical ways to transform it into unshakable confidence and acceptance. 1. Deep breathing. Such strong emotions as anxiety and fear triggered in your body very specific fight or flight response. Your muscles tighten, your heart rate increases, your blood pressure goes up, and your breathing becomes shallow. 2. Shifting focus outwards. Believe that many people perform worse than they could be because they focus too much on their physical symptoms and on their embarrassment instead of concentrating on their breathing and their speech. Next, visualizing. Visualizing of or mental rehearsal has been routinely used by many top athletes as a part of the training for a competition. Research has shown that visualization help to improve performance in such areas as communication, public speaking, and education. Next, focusing on facts, not fears. Instead of focusing on irrational fears, concentrate your thought on positive facts. As I have practiced my speech many times, I am an expert on this topic. I have notes with major bullet points to keep the structure of my talk. The last one, building your speech on clarity, not complexity. While it is often tempting to include as much useful information in your speech as possible, practice shows that this might not be a good idea. Let us take a look at the other means of communication available to speakers beside the power of the spoken word. These include storytelling, body language, tone of voice, pose, visual cues. Storytelling can be defined as a structured narrative account of real or imagined event that is widely used in public speaking as a medium for sharing, interpreting, and offering the content of the story to the listeners. The best stories to use in your public speech may involve true facts from your life. Do's and don'ts of storytelling. Not every story will grab your audience's attention and interest. There are a few important points that should be taken into consideration when choosing the right story for your speech. Do always make your story relevant to the subject at hand. Keep your story simple and short. Eliminate insecure detail. Do not use more than 2 or 3 stories on the same topic, as each successive one will lose in impact. Posture. Closing shoulder and tense muscle and abrupt, anxious movement might not be so obvious to the speaker, but this nervous tension and lack of conviction are quickly transmitted to the audience. How difficult was it to keep your focus on what was being said? Speakers who talk in a tone with no variation, which usually happens when a public speaker is reading the speech or recalling it verbatim, quickly lose their audience attention and even put some of their listeners to sleep. Paralanguage, the study dedicated to the vocal part of nonverbal communication is called paralinguistic, while the term paralanguage refers to the nonverbal elements of communication as pace, pitch, volume, and in some cases, enunciation of vocal speech. Speech pace. Pace of the speech is the speed at which we say or talk out loud. 3 ways improve your speech pace. There are a few many ways you can bring your speech to an appropriate pitch and win your audience attention. 1. Steady your breathing. 2. Focus on the enunciation. 3. Reflect about punctuation in the speech. Varying your voice in pitch during a presentation is the easiest way to 1. Avoid monotony and hold the audience interest. 2. Add color and excitement to the speech. 3. Make sustained words and ideas stand out. 4. Appear relaxed and confident to the listeners. Accomplished speakers are aware of this and often use the power of pause to raise the impact of a remark, praise ideas, underline the last thing that we cite. What are visual aids? Once you have decide to add a visual dimension to your speech, it is critical to choose visual aids that improves your message, stimulate and create an emotional response in your audience, as well as work well in the physical setting of your presentation. When public speakers talk about visual aids, they usually intend one of the five communication power tools: flip arts, overhead projector, slideshow, handout, and props. The three P of a successful speech. However, the remaining 98% of the success will depend on how well the presenter follows three P's. 1. Preparation. 2. Practice. 3. Performance. Preparation. It is true that the success or failure of a speech becomes evidenced on the day of the speaking engagement. However, the outcome of the speech is largely predetermined by the weeks of preparation undertaken. A vital step before the speech preparation. In order to make your speech both interesting and memorable for the listeners, it is important to consider three key elements. 1. The audience. Who is the speech written for? 2. The purpose. What is the main objective of the speech? 3. The direction of the speech. How will the speech be presented? To make sure that this does not happen, gather as much information as possible about the topic of your speech. 1. Start with what you already know. 2. Just 1 to 3 major points that you must get across. 3. Remember that the best speech should leave the listeners with insight and aha moment that they did not be before they went to hear you speak. 4. Conduct solid reach to supplement your presentation with stories. The basic speech outline template contains 5 main elements. 1. Attention grabber. 2. Introduction. 3. Body. 4. Conclusion. 5. Call to action.